Hey, CJ, Scott Kiefer with the Greenville News here.
How you
Have,
doing, Scott?
have you adapted to people calling you Coach Spiller yet?
I'm still getting adjusted to that. I've been in it now for, I guess you say, almost over a little over a month now, and you hear the players calling, saying Coach Spiller. It took some time to get adjusted to it, but I kind of just throw it back to my time when I kind of volunteered over at Liberty High School and helped out with their track program, and so those kids was already calling me Coach Spiller. So it's not a foreign language to me, but it still takes some time to get adjusted to it. But I know it'll come over time.
I got a little out of the box question for you. A lot of rules have been adopted in recent years to enhance safety on kickoffs, but they've also reduced the number of kickoff returns. I was just wondering, given your history as a prolific kick returner during your playing days, how do you feel about the reduced opportunities for what many people consider one of the most exciting plays in football?
Yeah, well, I mean, the game that changed since I last played, and teams are not able to get the ball on the 25-yard line. So for as a team, if you feel more comfortable with your offense starting at the 25-yard line than at the 10-yard line or the 15-yard line, most teams going to do the fair catch to get their offense a chance to drive the ball down the field. So it's sad to see that it's not as many as return, but at the same time, you definitely like to see the health and the safety of the players. But that just goes to teaching, with coaches teaching the proper technique and making sure that guys have their heads up. And they did a great job of taking away the wall or the three-man wall that normally that return teams have. So it's sad to see the go, but if you think that you tell guys if you get an opportunity to return one, make sure that you make the most of it because they don't come very often.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you,
Trevor Gross from CUTalkers.com here. How did you get the news a couple months ago that you were voted into the Hall of Fame, and how special was that moment for you?
It was an awesome moment. Coach Swinney, I was just happened to be cleaning up my closet, doing some stuff, and he called me. And, he was kind of, I really didn't know what he was calling about, honestly. And then he was kind of giving his whole spiel to both. Me and my wife was standing right there beside me. So he was saying, how I became his first time, big time recruit, and, his first draft pick, and then the first Pro Bowl. And then it was like, now, CJ, you're my first Hall of Famer. And I was definitely shocked. The year before, that was my first year of eligibility on the list. And, as an individual, you really don't think too much of those things. You're very honored and appreciative to even be mentioned to be on that list, to even be thinking about going into it. But then when it actually happened that you got elected to go into the College Football Hall of Fame, to me, it still hasn't even sunk in and still really hasn't hit me, just because I've been so locked in trying to get my guys here ready to go throughout the spring. So, but once that time comes and we have the celebration, I'm pretty sure all the self-reflection will come back to me. And, like I told a lot of people, it wasn't just a one-man thing. It took a lot of people, a lot of hard work from a lot of individuals to get me to that point. All my teammates, my coaches, my training staff, my friends. So it's a group effort, but obviously, my name's going in there. But like I told everybody's names is attached to this.
Hey, CJ, this is Will from the Clemson Insider. Wanted to ask you about the two freshman running back. How are they looking, and how different is that for you? Remembering when you were a freshman coming in, and how do you try to help those two guys out?
Both Will and Phil have looked great so far. You expect them to come in and be just freshmen. They're gonna have mistakes along the way. It's a new system. For Will, he didn't have a chance to play high school ball, so you have to take that into account that he hasn't played in over a year. So you have to just be careful with that to make sure that he comes along properly. Phil, he done looked awesome. Good as advertised. They kind of remind you of that. I guess you can say that old James Davis and myself. But you don't want to put that type of pressure on. The thing that I tell both of those guys is that be yourself. Be who you are. Don't worry about these high expectations that other people have on you. Just go out there and just be the best version of yourself. Don't try to be nobody else. And both of those guys have done a tremendous job of that throughout this spring so far.
CJ, it's Mark Gahn from the Buffalo News. Greetings from Buffalo. Just two questions.
Buffalo.
Two questions. Just what do you think? Do you have any doubts about Travis Etienne's transition to the NFL, and what do you think will make him successful? And then the second question is, every year, there's been a lot of talk about are running backs worth taking in the first round, given the depth of the position. As a former Pro Bowler, just where do you stand on that?
Oh, well, I think that's your first question. I think Travis Etienne going to transition to the NFL. I don't want to say easy, but I don't think it's going to be overbearing for him. For one, he's such a humble individual. He's the total package. To me, he's the best running back coming out of the draft. He can do it all. He can catch the ball. He can run between the tackles. If you need him in the return game, he can do that. He's just one of those individuals that when he gets the ball in his hands, something special is going to happen. And then the most thing that you like about him that he's very doable. He's going to be available on Sunday, so that won't be a question mark. So I'm excited to see where he lands. And then as far as your second question, that question always come up every year in the Buffalo area about do they need to take another guy? The thing that that I always learned from Coach Buddy Nix, the GM that was there when I was in Buffalo, is that hey, you take the best guy that's available, and I love that mindset that he had. It doesn't matter. You're trying to get your football team better. And, and if you're a guy having to be on the board when your time comes to pick, then you take that guy. Sometimes teams goes by needs, but, Coach Nix, his mindset was always you take the best available guy, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably didn't agree with the pick when Buffalo chose me when you had Marshawn Lynch and Fred Jackson there, but he felt like I was the best guy when it came time for Buffalo to pick, and that's why they turned in the card. So I'm forever grateful for that.
DJ, why was now the right time for you to become a coach, and just what's it like taking this next step in your career?
I just knew, I had been volunteering at a local high school over at Liberty, and it just, and then, spent this last year, been an unpaid graduate, just sitting back and just watching how things are done from a different lens. And I just knew that this was my calling. Some people say, this is their job. To me, this is my calling. I kind of got that itch when I was helping out, those high school students. And, and that's kind of where it started from. I didn't know how quickly it would come, so you just really just pray on it. But I was prepared. I was always preparing myself for when that time does come. But there's still some things that I will learn along the way. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything because I'm new to it. But I think last year kind of gave me a jump start of what to expect, and being able to sit in Coach Elliott room and see how he commands the room, how he runs the room, how he engaged with the guys. It kind of gave me a first glimpse of what it'd take to be successful. So I'm always going to be grateful for Coach Elliott for even allowing me to even sit in his meetings, because we all know that sometimes that doesn't happen everywhere, just because some guys might feel pressured or might feel like you're looking over their shoulders. But Coach Elliott was very gracious enough, and he always asked me questions, always told me if I had any concerns or anything that that I didn't know to ask him. So to be able to do that for a full year kind of gave me a jump start on how to handle certain things.
What was the biggest thing you feel like you learned during that year? Was it the meeting room, or was there something else that you feel like was your biggest takeaway?
Just the details of the position, even though I played it, the details of it, the details of the play, each and every play, not just knowing what your job is. Coach Elliott is a very detail-oriented individual, and he did a great job of making sure that guys knew why they need to be in certain spots. And then he did an awesome job of just knowing how to manage each and every player, because each and every player is different. So you got to, as a coach, you have to understand that for one, and then how can you help those individuals along the way to become a better version of themselves? So he to me, he mastered that, of knowing how to handle each and every person, each and every personality that was in that room.
CJ, this is Reggie at WLTX in Columbia. Do you take anything from your playing career in the NFL to this new gig that you have now?
Without a doubt, all the coaches that I'd have had, sitting in different meeting rooms, you always take something away and try to, put that into what you want to do. So I definitely, the things that I'd have learned, while I was able to play at the highest level, I definitely take that into account, and I try to apply it here. to the guys. You know, and then, you know, like I say, last year, being able to sit in on Coach Elliott meeting, you know, I was able to take away a lot of stuff that he done because, you know, these guys have been in this system over, you know, some of them over 3 or 4 years. So you kind of just take, you know, what he done and just try to make it better. And then and then at the end of the day, you have to just be yourself. You know, I can't come out here and try to be anybody else. I just have to come out here and just be myself and be the best version of me.
Hey, CJ,
Go ahead.
24/7. The recruiting aspect of it, I guess that's maybe one of the newer parts of it. How has that gone so far for you? And where do you feel like do you feel like you're able to bring a unique aspect just because you did have such a successful career at Clemson?
Well, I think you said your name was Grace. So to answer the first one, I think
I'm Anna, but
the recruiting
I think we were
aspect is. You say Hannah? Oh, Hannah. I'm sorry, couldn't. It was kind of going out. But to answer it, I think when it comes to recruiting, me being able to go through it, obviously as a player in high school, you kind of know what to expect. You know, obviously that changed since I've been in high school, but it's still, to me, recruiting is about relationships. You know, can you go build a relationship with an individual? You know, and I'm a huge individual that values relationship to the utmost. So it's all about just building that relationship with a young man and his family, letting them get to know you, you get to know them. And then just over time, that stuff, you know, it'll take care of itself. So, you know, there's certain rules and stuff that you can do and you can't do that I didn't know as a recruit, but now you know it as a recruiter. So there's certain stuff that, you know, I have to, you know, make sure that I'm doing it, you know, the proper way to make sure that, you know, you're not doing nothing that's going to bring any I guess, negativity to a program. So, you know, that just goes to, you know, to just making sure I'm asking the right question, I guess you can say, with guys that have been in this position before. You know, we got a lot of veteran coaches on our team that you can go and ask for help, you know, so I'm always going to go and ask questions, you know, how they did certain things, because like you say, I only know it just from a recruit standpoint. Now I'm on the other side. So I'm always asking questions with, you know, how they handle certain situations, you know, how do they, you know, conduct themselves going into schools. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a learning curve, you know, because, you know, obviously with COVID, we wasn't able to get out on the road this year. So I didn't exactly experience that part, but I still was able to, you know, try to build a relationship with guys.
Hey, CJ, this is David Hood. Hope you're doing all right, man.
You doing, David?
Doing good, man. Listen, when did Coach Swinney, you know, you've been around the program for several years now. You've been to the practices. When did Coach Swinney ask you the first time, hey, would you ever like to do this? Would you like to be a coach? And then kind of how did that conversation go, you know, when he decided to offer you the job?
To be honest, David, honestly, I mean, I think we always just talked about it every time we, you know, got amongst each other. You know, even while I was playing, you know, one thing we always done right before I went off to training camp, you know, we'll always come and have like a, you know, I guess you say father-son type conversation, you know, things that he feel like I should do better as an individual, things I can do to improve as a player. And then, you know, as I was getting later into my career, you know, it was always, you know, hey, if you ever want to, you know, get into this, just let me know. But he never pressured me. You know, it was always about, you know, when that time is right, you just come and we'll talk about it and we'll evaluate and we'll just go from there. So once I was done playing, last year, spending the year, it kind of gave me that, like, this is what I truly want to do. So I'm, like I said, I'm grateful that he has allowed me to come in last year and just kind of see if this is truly something that I want to do. Because some guys, you think you want to do it, but you truly don't know until you kind of get into it. So, and then, you know, this past year, you know, we had some changes, and, you know, we was able to sit down and, hey, if you think you're ready, then let's do it. And, you know, I was prepared. You know, that's the thing. To me, it's a difference between being ready and being prepared. You know, everybody's ready, right? But, you know, it takes a special individual to be prepared. So I was prepared, like I said, and like I said, I'm still learning, but I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be ready to go.
CJ, hey, CJ, this is Will again.
He ain't ready. He ain't ready.
Hey, CJ, this is Will again. I was curious to what has anything caught you by surprise that you really weren't expecting as a coach? Hey,
Well, any
CJ, did
chance
you hear me?
could that we lost you there?
Yeah, can you repeat that again? Where you kind of cut out on me?
Yeah, I was asking, is there anything that caught you by surprise now that you're a coach that you weren't expecting?
To be honest, I mean, I think last year kind of just gave me an advantage, to be honest, to answer that question for you, Will. Just, I think if this is my first year coming in and just seeing the hours that these coaches put in, I think that would have been a surprise for me. But I think being able to spend a full season as an unpaid graduate assistant, I think that kind of gave me a jump start to kind of what to expect. But I think the surprising is just, how detailed sitting in on the offensive staff meetings and the game planning and going over the scripts and getting practice ready. I think that was, the biggest surprise, I guess you can say, is that, these, as coaches, you put in a lot of time to make sure that you can get out there and rep as many plays as you can to give your guys a chance to be successful. So I guess you can say that would probably be the biggest surprise that I had. And then just making sure that you're just managing time, really, honestly, because, you have to put in the script, you have to make sure that you're ready for your individual drills, you have to, make sure that you're ready to go in and install. So it just, just little things like that you just really don't really think about as a player. Then when you get on this other side, you realize that, man, these guys truly put in a ton of time to give these players a chance to go out and be successful.
Hey, Coach,
this is Grace from The Athletic. How would you just evaluate the pecking order in your room right now?
Well, to be honest with you, Grace, I really haven't, sat down and said, hey, this guy is the number one starter, because it's the spring. So this is a evaluation standpoint right now. Each and every guy does something differently. And it's my job to make sure that I'm putting those guys in there to be successful. And it's been a very healthy competition. I think these guys, they going out and competing each and every day. They understand that, each and every one of them brings something totally different to the football team, but they all going to help us be successful. Once you understand that as a player, you get better as a player. So I wouldn't say that, we have just, a pecking order as in, all right, this guy's on the depth chart as the number one guy and this guy's number two. I think, I can put any of those guys in there and they'll be ready to go and play. But, we still have a long way to go until we have to come out, I guess you say, with official depth chart. But, that's the beauty of this sport. All the guys in that room know that somebody got to run out there first, and then somebody has to some guys have to be backups, but, the thing I always tell the guys is that you're always one player away from being the starter. So, that's the mindset that I always had as a player. And that's what I want to instill into these guys is that, this game here, you're always one player away from being a starter. So don't look at it just because you're a backup that you don't have the chance to be a starter, because you just never know what can happen in the practice, what can happen in the game. So if you don't have that mindset, then you'll never be ready to be a starter, because you just never know what can take place.
Coach,
I guess regardless of
Josh. Hey, CJ, it's Josh from Charleston here. Just to follow up on that, Lyn-J's a guy with among the most experience in the room. What would you want to see from him for him to kind of claim that number one spot?
Well, I mean, Lyn-J, he's a phenomenal player. Obviously, he had a great running back that was in front of him in Travis Etienne, but hopefully he was able to take away some of the stuff that Travis done from the way that he prepared himself, the way that he took care of his body, the leader that Travis was, so hopefully he was able to take that away. And that's what you want as you get older and older into this program. You want to start being that leader, that accountability, that people that can really trust you. So I'm just looking forward to Lyn-J just taking his game to a whole new level. He has, like I said, he has the talent. Now it's time for him just to go out there and just do it. And that just comes through practice, through reps, learning how to practice. He practices hard, but then all right, can you practice smart? So there's different things that I'm want to see from Lyn-J. But those are things that I'll keep, between me and Lyn-J as we continue to go through the spring.
Coach, when you played, it was basically you and James Davis or you and Andre Ellington carrying most of the load. How different is the depth at this position now, and how much of a challenge is it managing the carries between so many guys with so much talent?
Well, I mean, the game is different compared to when I played, with those guys. Now, teams are doing hurry up, so a lot of teams are trying to get in a lot of plays, and to me, you need a guy that's that's always fresh. So that comes back on my responsibility to make sure that I have a guy that's out there that's fresh, that's prepared, and that knows what he's doing. And you want to have depth because it goes back to what I just said, is that you never know when it's going to be your time to go out there and take maybe the buckload. But every guy in my room should have the mindset that they are a starter. Obviously you can only play with 11. So in our position, we can only have one. Compared to other positions where take for instance the receiver position, you can have 3 that go out there. But for us, we can only have one. But I want those guys to also understand that, hey, you might not be the first one, but you still consider the starter. Because you never know. So you have to be ready to go. You have to be in tune with the game. You have to be in tune with what's going on. So I have to make sure I do a great job of making sure I'm getting the guys ready to do that.
CJ, this is Matt again. I know you said you feel like this is your calling. Just why do you feel like that, and what do you hope to bring to guys other than helping them get better as players?
Oh, well, I mean, you just want to have an impact on young men's lives. You want to see them go off and be successful in anything. I think too many times when people say you want to see them go off successful, they think of the professional, the NFL level. To me, it's life. How can you have an impact? How can you inspire others around you? And so throughout my experiences that I've been able to have throughout life, I'm able to share some of that knowledge. What is it going to gain me to keep all that knowledge and the wisdom that I've been able to experience over my lifetime and not share with these guys? So that's why I say it's a calling, because I just love seeing young men in this case go out and be successful in life. And what more how proud can you more be when you have one of your guys come back 10, 15 years now and appreciate the things that you instilled in him outside of just football. So it's not just about football here at Clemson. It's about life. How are we preparing you for life? Because one day we all know that you're going to get that curtain call on football, but in life is still going to go on. Are you going to be prepared, or what are you going to take away from that? And that's where my job comes in, to make sure that you're prepared and you can be ready to take on life.
CJ, what is it about Clemson that? Sorry, Larry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just going to ask, what is it about Clemson that you came here, you played here, you came back afterwards, and now you wanted to come have your career here as well? Just what is it about Clemson that led you to do that?
Oh, well, Matt, Clemson always been special to me. I always said that I always wanted to be close to this university in some capacity. And it just led to coaching. I always knew I wanted to stay involved with this university because when I signed that letter of intent back in, I guess you'd say in the spring or the winter of 2006, it was a lifetime commitment. It wasn't just come here 4 years, do what I need to do, and then never be involved. So I always knew, even while I was playing, that once I was done, that Clemson was going to be my home. And then when I got done playing, I was able to be able to accomplish that. So, that's why I think this place is just so special. I think it's the people that's here. It reminds me so much of my hometown in Lake Butler, Florida. Just a small town, just family oriented. And that's what I want. And this is what this place provides. And, you come and you get to work with great people, with our head coach, like Coach Swinney, that values family, that makes sure that you spend family time. A lot of places don't have that, so to be able to do that here at Clemson, man, that's special to me. That means a lot. That means that we value more than just wins and losses. So I'm forever grateful to be able to be living here in this area, and for the people. This is these people here are special.
CJ, Larry Williams here. I think when we were talking about a year ago, you were sort of reflecting on your role with IPTAY and sort of the awkwardness maybe of going to big money boosters' homes and asking them for large sums of money. How much more in your wheelhouse is selling recruits on playing for Clemson? And how much did that experience, maybe before you took the job, sort of convince you that this was your calling finally?
Well, be honest with you, Larry. For one, I never really had to go into somebody's house and ask them for money. I think that would have been a very interesting conversation. But if they would have asked me to do it, I would have done it. And it's really just going to someone's homes and just being real. And the thing about here at Clemson is that, we don't have to go into a kid's home and give them this false narrative. We have great facilities. We have great people here. academics. We're going to value, number one thing in this program is graduation. So if you come to Clemson, that's going to be top priority is you to graduate. And for me, I can go into a home and say and attest to that because I'm a graduate. Going to somebody's home is not going to be a difficult task. Obviously it'll be different, just being on the other side of it. But like I said earlier, it's just about going in there and just being myself, being who I am, and just building that relationship with someone. I can't go in there and fake it because these kids now, this generation, they'll sense that. I sensed it when I got recruited. I knew what coaches was being real with me and what coaches just wanted me just to come there. And that's why I chose to come to Clemson, because I felt like Coach Swinney was the only one that was really just truly being real with me, honestly. He didn't just talk about football with me all the time. It was about life. He knew I was having a daughter coming out of high school. He wanted to know, all right, how are you going to be a father? What are the things that you're going to do? With him being a father, he was able to help me with that. So, that's the thing about, just going into a recruit, just all about just going in there and just being yourself, being who you are, and not giving this false narrative about a program. We have the stuff to back up what we're saying.
I'm sorry if you've already been asked this earlier, but when you got the job last year, in your mind, were you thinking it'd be several years before you became a full-time head coach? I mean, that's pretty quick and extraordinary turnaround.
Well, I mean, honestly, I really didn't know how quickly it'd come. I was just, if it came later, it came later. But everything's, I hate to, I don't want to sound too churchy, but everything's on God's time. And the timing just happened to be quicker than later. But I was willing to wait as long as I needed to wait until the opportunity came, and it just presented itself a whole lot quicker than I guess than what people probably was expecting. So. But I don't take that thing lightly. Like I said, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I have a responsibility to do as a coach.
Thanks,
Hey,
CJ.
coaches, Trevor again. Go ahead.
Describe Kobe Pace's running style and just what you've seen from him this spring, and maybe where the areas that he needs to grow that you'd like to see him grow the most between now and the fall.
Well, I mean, this is, Kobe's a sophomore, so this is second year in the system. He kind of know it a little better than what he did his freshman year. And, his running style is very unique. I guess you can, if you want to compare it to somebody, you can kind of say, kind of like that Nick Chubb, I guess you can say type of comparison. He's a big back, but he has speed as well. He has power. So, I've been very pleased with what he's done so far here in spring. He still has a long way to go. But you can see that he done took the strides from year one to year two. And to me, that's what you always want to see as a coach. That's something that, on the NFL, that's what guys always want to see. How do you make that jump from year one to year two? And he done made a tremendous jump so far. So, but he has to continue to work. He knows that he has to continue to work on his game. But he's been good so far this spring.
Coach, it's Trevor again. Speaking of Nick Chubb, I don't think you ever got a chance to play against Georgia in your playing career. How cool will it be to go against those guys in the season opener and your first game as a position coach?
Oh, well, I mean, you want to play against the best, and they on us. They the first team that we have to play against, and we're going to make sure that we doing everything that we can to be prepared for those guys come September. Like you said, I never played against Georgia, so it'll be exciting. I'm pretty sure we got a lot of Georgia guys on our team. I'm pretty sure they'll be excited. Particularly in my room, we got a couple of guys from Georgia, so I know they'll be excited. But the thing I'm gonna have to tell them is, don't get caught up into the emotions. A game still has to be played, because I know what it's like to go against your home state team. So, the guys there, I'm pretty sure they'll be looking forward to it. Right now, they're just trying to get, make it through this spring, get to the spring game, and continue to have fun with their brothers here. But when that time comes and we really dial into what Georgia presents, I'm pretty sure our guys will be ready.
Hey, CJ, this is Brad from Clemson SI WCCP. You talked about this being your calling, being a coach. How far do you want to go with this? What are your career aspirations? You want to be head coach? You want to be in the NFL, college? What do you want to do with this?
Oh, I'm gonna just take it one day at a time. Honestly, you don't want to sit out here and I don't want to sit here and jump the gun and say, hey, I want to be this, I want to be that. I'm just taking it one day at a time, and wherever this this path leads, this journey leads. That's where it leads, and I'll be ready to go. But right now for me, I'm just trying to learn how can I be the best position running back coach that I can be. Obviously, people think since you played the position, you just automatically just going to be great at it. And I understand that, but it's still a lot of things that I have to learn from a coaching standpoint. So, I don't want to jump the gun ahead and start thinking about other things. I'm just trying to think about, how can I be the best version of myself right now in this moment to give my guys the best opportunity to go out and be successful. But that is a great question. And, you do have dreams about other things, but at the moment, I really honestly haven't really thought about, how far I want this team to go. Honestly, I've just been taking it one day at a time, and I'm gonna continue to just do that.
Coach Clemson, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, man. It's Mark from WIFF. Earlier this spring, Dabo said, even back to your days as a player, you were really invested in understanding the why behind everything that it was that you were doing. Where does that hunger to understand everything and that hunger for knowledge come from?
Mark, it comes from my grandparents, honestly. That's just the way that I was raised up. My grandparents and my mom always told me to understand why you're doing something. Don't just be doing anything just to be doing it. Why are you doing this? Why you need to study for this test? Well, the reason you need to study for this test is, okay, you want to make a great grade. You're just not going to show up in the classroom. I know I wasn't, I was a pretty smart kid, but I wasn't a genius, so I know I needed to study. And the reason why, because I wanted to make great grades. Same thing when it comes to football. Why do you play football? Because, it teaches you about life, about sacrifice, about determination, humility, responsibility, accountability. Those are the things that this game teaches, but if you want to become great, how do you do that? And why do you do that? Well, it's going to take a little extra stuff from within. It can't always just come from coaches. So I always been one of those self-determination type individuals, I guess you can say. It didn't take a lot of people for me to go out and run stadiums by myself. You know why? Because I knew when I was in Lake Butler, Florida, if I wanted to have opportunity to go to college, I was going to have to do stuff that other people weren't willing to do. So that's why I was doing it. So I guess you can say just from my upbringing, from the stuff that was instilled into me.
Coach, it's Trevor again. Clemson hasn't really had a real prolific punt and kick returner since you were a player. Are there things that you can impart to the guys now that are returning kicks and punts, or is that the sort of thing? Obviously you can't teach speed that you had, you can't teach some of the moves that you had, but are there some things about that position that you can impart to these guys now?
Yeah, it's the little things that you can teach these guys, the ins and outs of as being a return man. Like you say, we have some guys on this team that's going to be able to do that. So I'll be able to just share my experiences, my knowledge, and what I was thinking as a return man. I think that would hopefully that would give these guys the advantage to go out there and be successful. So I'm looking forward to it. We've done a great job, and I've been sharing that knowledge throughout the spring with these guys. What I was thinking, on certain returns. How did I study, a kickoff team? How did I study a punt team? But it's all about, take a collective group effort. Kick return is all about guys just out there being excited. So it wasn't just me as the return man. I had guys like DeAndre McDaniel that was on the front line they knew, hey, if I get my block, then I knew we had a chance to score a big one. So everybody just has to do their job and have to be excited about it, because if you have guys that's in the back end that can take it the distance, that make those guys' jobs up front a whole lot easier. So I'm gonna continue to share my knowledge with the whole unit. All right, this is why we do it. This is this is what we need to do to be successful. So I'm looking forward to continuing those conversations with the guys.
We'll take one or two more for Coach Spiller if you've got them.
CJ, what's changed the most since you were at Clemson, right? I mean, they've won a national championship now. I know you guys won an ACC championship when you were there, but I mean, are any little things that have changed that you've picked up on, or shows that it's a more national program even?
Well, I mean, our program that came a long way since I've been here, and Coach done a tremendous job of, first of all, bringing in the right people. It starts with that. people that understands this program, that buys in to what we're trying to accomplish here as a program. And and then it just filters down to the players, bringing in the right players. I think now our brand is such a national brand that people are wanting to come to Clemson compared to, I guess you say that would be the difference from when I was playing. We was trying to get guys here. Now it's you don't want to toot your horn, but our brand is amongst the best out there. It's the best. So guys they want to come here and see what makes this place special. And you can see it on TV, but once you step here on campus, it takes it takes it to a whole different level. So I would say probably just the success of this program. I say that was the difference, and now it's just our brand is out there, and that's what we wanted. That's the vision that Coach had for our program, is to put us as the beacon of light of this country of college football, and our guys that bought into that.
Is that something you guys talked about when you're at Clemson as a player?
I mean, we always talk about that, as a player, that you want to be considered one of the best. You want to be the beacon of light. You want people to model, what you do, and but at the same time, it's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice. It's going to take some bumps and bruises along the way, but you all just got to be consistent. And I think that's kind of where our program has been. We've been very consistent over the years, and and that takes your program to a different level.
We'll take one more.
Yeah, Coach Swinney was just a young wide receiver coach when he recruited you in 2005, 2006. How has he changed, do you think, since then?
Well, he still thinks he's a young guy. Nah, Coach has been the same, honestly, since the first time I ever met him. He's still, I mean, you think about, he's still wearing the same watch that that I always have known him to wear. And he's just just down to earth individual. Before, people always ask me, how is Coach Swinney? Is it really real? Is it a show? And I tell them, man, what you see is what you get. With Coach, he's not out here to put on the show, and he understands that. He understands the job that he has and the responsibility that he's been given. He doesn't take that lightly, and he is who he is. And he's gonna tell you the truth, whether you want to hear that truth or not. He's gonna lay it out there to you, but then he's gonna love you too. So and that's what you want in a head coach. He's the same individual day in and day out. There's no, what type of coach we're gonna get today. Now with Coach Swinney, you know what you're gonna get on a day in and day out basis. So I think that's why he was able to accomplish this job in 2009, because people gravitated towards him because of who he was as an individual, and he's very well respected amongst his peers, and then obviously within our program.